Canadian Prime Minister slammed for pushing Sharia-compliant mortgages for Muslims. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's Liberal government has sparked backlash by announcing plans to introduce halal mortgages to comply with Islamic finance rules against paying interest. In the recent 2024 budget, the government proposed consulting with lenders to offer Sharia compliant home financing options like halal mortgages, which are aimed at helping Muslim Canadians become homeowners. Trudeau enthusiastically touted it, quote, as a testament to our commitment to fostering an inclusive society where everyone has equal access to opportunities. Specific proposals include the Canadian Mortgage and Housing Corporation providing Islamic banks funding to offer halal mortgages, potential tax changes for such products, and a regulatory sandbox for lenders. While some smaller institutions already provide compliant financing, none of Canada's five biggest banks currently offer halal mortgages that avoid interest through alternatives like rental-based payments. The budget also proposed developing more Islamic banking offerings and establishing a national zakat fund for Muslim charitable giving, drawing criticism that the policies unfairly benefit one religious group. Supporters like the Canadian Islamic Congress, however, hailed it as a historic moment, enabling Muslims to participate more fully in the Canadian economy. So, let's okay, there's so much to unpack here. Trudeau, Ayatollah Trudeau, why are you doing this absolute bullshit? Okay, so we need to back up and explain some basics for people that don't understand what's going on here. So, for those who may not be aware, there is a concept in Sharia, in Islam, called riba. And riba is usury. Riba is understood to be interest. It is understood to be forbidden. It is one of the worst sins, actually. Many scholars believe that it's like shirk, riba, in terms of like how severe of it's a very major sin. Engaging in interest is seen as very, very sinful and forbidden. And so when it's very difficult if you're the type of Muslim that is so observant that you refuse to take out a loan because it has interest. This has major economic consequences to you because interest is a foundational part of a modern economy. And basically, this will obviously make home ownership for you a lot more difficult if you are this observant, very, very observant, like to take on this level of a financial burden. And so there are all of these schemes that are basically scams to help people do complicated financial gymnastics to still get a home, but not engage in riba. And the problem is that so this is what Trudeau is basically pushing forward as an idea to roll out into Canada at a larger scale. Because there's already smaller institutions that do this. And then he's basically pushing for larger institutions to do this as well. Before I dig into it more deeply, Armin, I want your reaction.
Right. So I have four reactions. First of all, this is a violation of secularism where governments are basically coming in and using religious belief as a way to come up with policies. This is a violation of secularism, right? It's not just any violation. So second point, this is not just any violation of secularism. This is a recognition of Islamic laws, which is basically legitimizing divine authority of Allah coming down from the Canadian government. So this is when you recognize the legitimize their rulings, their Islamic practices, Islamic beliefs. That's basically a government taking a position and putting a stamp of approval on the philosophy from that such an ideology. Third point is that if you do this for Islam, then you would have to do this for other religions. And that opens the door to so many other things. And worse than that, if you do this for one thing in Islam, then technically you should now be able to do this for other things in Islam, right? This sets a precedent. This is something that you could now always refer to as, you open the door. This is not just about mortgages and Sharia compliant mortgages. This is about the government now allowing laws and regulations to be in accordance to Islamic values and Islamic Sharia. That means that any other person, any other politician who wants to do that, maybe Muslim, the way Canada is going, eventually, just like in the UK, Muslim politicians will always be able to refer back to this as a way to show that what they're doing doesn't violate anything in Canada. So this basically opens the door to so many other Sharia things basically coming out and taking over the politics and the laws and the
And
rules.
once again, in the name of inclusion. In the name of
Yes,
inclusion.
always.
It's enough to make me sick to my stomach.
You're literally seeing right now the process of the Trojan horse coming in. Like this is in this what you're seeing, what we're seeing in Europe, you're seeing a reflection of that in Canada. This is exactly the woke opening the door for the barbarians at the gate. This is how liberalism dies, because the liberalism is so powerful, the walls are so strong that the only way to take it down is from somebody from within to open the gates. And this is exactly what you're seeing happening.
It's literally what Hitchens warned us about. Hitchens was a freaking prophet, man. That's my prophet. And what people need to understand is that a lot of these, so if you want to learn more about riba and then also all these weird Islamic products, financial products that people use to do these weird loopholes to try to get through this stuff, go look up Abdullah Samir, or the Friendly Ex-Muslim, has a lot of really, really good videos about this. And basically, in his videos, he talks about how this can cripple entire families because of the really bad arrangements that are very unaffordable for people. And I saw some people having reactions online to this scheme of Trudeau's, saying like, "Oh wow, how are you going to let Muslims have no interest rates? That's not fair. Like, I'm just going to go pretend to be a Muslim and then go do this, and then what are you going to do about it?" Okay, let's be clear. It's not that they have no interest rates. They just do there's several different kinds of complicated arrangements where, like, so Zaid highlighted one of the arrangements. Let me highlight it. Islamic banking is basically that the bank buys the property and then sells it to you for a huge margin of profit instead of giving you a mortgage with interest. That's one of the arrangements. And the problem is that in the long run, this is actually much more expensive for you. And there's other ways that they do this as well. So while at first people are like, "Oh my God, no interest, that's amazing," because let me be clear, I don't believe in riba, but I mean, I freaking hate interest. I mean, I get it. I get it.
I love interest. It's the only reason why we could have such a growing economy. We will not have any economy without interest. Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I agree. But basically, I say this as an American, and Americans are freaking addicted to debt. Americans are have a freaking IV directly into their veins that's called consumer debt, and it's disgusting, like disgusting consumer debt. It's horrible. So we have a problem with that as a culture because of something called credit cards. And it's a big problem and it can ruin people's lives. So that's why I'm like, oh, it's gross. But I also know from an economic standpoint, like, it's very powerful, right? regardless, it's actually, so when people hear, oh my God, no interest rates, what? It's actually not a good arrangement. It's actually like a scam. And I just think that it's so typical of Trudeau to be just appeasing and legitimizing this stuff. I'm like, why do you want to implement more things to help people create a separate society? Why do you want to create more infrastructure for people to just be reliant on Islamic finance institutions instead of the institutions like of the country and of the state? It's so weird to me. So a lot of people just see this as a ploy for support, and it's disgusting.
So actually, can I make a few points about this, right? So
Mhm.
what you said is completely correct. So debt is good, interest is good. You wouldn't even be able to have an economy without debt and interest. Some people don't know how to use debt and interest, and they ruin their lives because of it. And people think that all of debt and interest is bad because some people use it irresponsibly and don't know how to manage their own finances, right? So that's the problem. Managing it improperly is the problem. Debt and interest itself. This shows how stupid religion is, to be against interest, to be against debt. It doesn't understand you wouldn't. I mean, you didn't even need to banks to be able to have interest. It's just the idea, like, if even before we had cities, if you were like, okay, I want to like raise chickens and I have no chickens, and you go like ask like, hey, can I borrow 5 of your chickens? And then once I have more chickens, I will give you 6 chickens back. And your neighbor will like, okay, sure, you could do that. And then you go borrow some food from some of them so that you could feed them, and you're like, I will pay you, I will give you more back. That's how we have anything. That's how we have civilization. Okay, so that it's not just banks charging. Like, we wouldn't even be able to have cities or anything. Everything you have around, look at around you, everything you have is because of interest and debt. And so the Islamic mortgage, when they say Islamic mortgage, Islamic debt, that's, they also have interest. They just try to trick Allah. Okay, Islamic mortgage is an Islamic attempt to fool Allah, because they try to disguise the interest in a way that it doesn't look like it's interest, so that maybe Allah doesn't notice that it's interest. So they don't tell you that they're tricking Allah, but if you actually look, there is interest. They just disguise it as something else, as if Allah will not notice. That's what Islamic mortgage is. And many Islamic scholars have noticed this, and they say that Islamic mortgage is also haram because there is interest. You just disguise it as something else. That's what, yeah.
Yep. So, we are getting some breaking updates from our super chats. Condovo sent a super chat saying that according to Al Arabia, the IRGC was deployed to key sites in Tehran. I don't know if that's true. Mithras Revisited just gifted 5 Atheist Republic memberships to people. Thank you, Mithras. That's very kind. Thank you for supporting Atheist Republic. And D, our lovely editor D, saying that Iran Newswire is posting fireworks in Iran. People are already celebrating. Let's see.
Yeah, I have it because Dee said this. I went and found the video and I downloaded it. So this is the response in people in Iran are celebrating with fireworks that their president just crashed in the helicopter. So this is شازی رود زود هنگام ایرانیان پیش از خبر قطعی شدن مرگ رئیسی. So they're celebrating his death ahead of time. So they're like, it seems like it's not yet confirmed that he's dead, but so many people are thinking he's dead that they're pardoning the death of their president. This is a country Iran has become. People do firework when there's news that their president just died.
Oh my God.
این مردن رئیس جمهور فقید کشورمون رو تبریک میگم به کل مردم ایران. امیدوارم
So he's saying that I congratulate the death of the president, the horrible president of our country. I congratulate this to all the people of Iran.
باقیه‌شون هم همینجوری سر به نیست بشن.
And he says, I hope that the rest of them die in the same way. All of them die in the same manner.
امروز 30 اردیبهشت ماه 1403.
So that's just the date. So this is another reaction from someone in Iran and people doing. And I also have an update regarding the news. So Iran is now requesting the European Union to come help them find the helicopter.
According to Iran International English, the EU is providing assistance in locating his chopper.
So they're like, we can't find this helicopter. Please come help us find the helicopter. And the EU said, okay. So that's just happened just a few minutes
Response
ago.
Coordinator Hanaz Lenarksik said, upon Iranian request for assistance, we are activating Europe's Copernicus EMS rapid response satellite mapping service in view of the helicopter accident reportedly carrying the president of Iran and its foreign minister.
No. Yeah, I can't imagine what will happen when Khamenei dies. Imagine the celebrations then. Oh my God, people.
To be honest, I have a few friends that are scared. They're like, blood is going to run in the streets.
Yes. I know some people that are excited that blood is going to run in the streets.
Yeah. Richard Hazel gave a super chat. Thank you. Saying, if the president is dead, who will take his place? Does it change anything for the Iranian people? P.S. You guys are awesome. Oh, thank you, Richard. Armin, what is your reaction? Do we have a person lined up? Who's next in command?
I'm not sure. I think maybe Ghalibaf will take his place.
Oh, joy!
I'm not sure. Or
one clown
AJ,
shuffles in for another.
Either AJ or Ghalibaf. I don't know which one, but I think Ghalibaf will take his place. Yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. And yeah, things will change because this is just such a major news. I think there's going to be more questions again raised over the succession of the supreme leadership, because Raisi right now has no power as the president, but he was also one of the main two people who could have become the only two options that everybody's talking about regarding the next supreme leader is Mujtaba Khamenei and Raisi, and now Raisi is dead. So
we don't know that.
Khamenei. Huh? Well,
we don't know.
Yeah,
we
you're
don't
right.
know.
Well, now, sorry. Yes, if Raisi is dead, that will leave. Well, I'm just, the reason why I'm saying now he's dead is because I'm responding to his question. Like, if the president is dead, in that context, if he's dead, that will mean that Mujtaba Khamenei is almost guaranteed to be the next supreme leader, which is the son
and
of
then explain what's controversial, because a lot of people don't know who Mujtaba is.
Well, I mean, it becomes the 1979 Islamic Revolution happened. One of the main narratives was that the leader of a country shouldn't inherit its position, and that's why they were against the monarchy. And now Khamenei's son is going to be the next supreme leader, so that's going to be seen as very controversial, especially because Khamenei's son has not been seen or heard of ever. We have only a few pictures of him, but there's not a single speech of him. There's not a single audio message of him. Nobody ever sees him. But he's apparently behind the scenes or controlling many, many things without actually being present. So, like, the next supreme leader being somebody that most Iranians have never even heard of, will not have ever heard his voice. I mean, technically, no Iranian has heard his voice other than the people that have been in his presence. So that is going to cause a lot of a lot more dissent. Even the people that support the current regime are not going to support the next regime, because who the hell is this guy? So that's going to potentially topple the government.
Not to mention the fact that Mujtaba Khamenei's religious credentials are basically all falsified. The same way
so was his father.
Yeah, exactly. His religious credentials are all falsified. And
I mean, they're all falsified anyways. It's religious. Yeah, but go on.
But you know what I mean. Even within
Yes,
their
based
own
on their own
laws,
standards, even based on their own standards.
yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, there was another point I wanted to make. Shoot. Oh, the last thing I wanted to say is a lot of people underestimate how one of the last things holding up this regime right now is a personality cult surrounding Khamenei himself.
Yes, exactly. Just like we had a major drop in support from Khomeini to Khamenei, we're going to see even a bigger drop from Khamenei to the next supreme leader, which is, again, it's going to make holding on to the government extremely difficult. That's why I'm saying the death of Khamenei is going to be a major challenge for the Islamic Republic's survival.
Okay, so HD Drake gave a super chat saying, why can't the Iranians find their own helicopters? Good question. Well, apparently the weather conditions are very bad.
They're saying it's dark, there's fog, and there's water. Yeah, but I never understand these things technically, because it's just like, don't these things have like I don't know, some tracking devices on them? Like, I never understand why it's so hard. Yeah.
Oh, Prime Minister Modi just came out and expressed deep concern. We stand in solidarity with the Iranian people in this hour of distress and pray for the well-being of the president and his entourage. Oh, Modi. Oh,
Which
no, sir.
gods are you going to pray to? That's not going to help. Are you going to pray to, like, Hindu gods? I don't think he's going to care. I don't
We
think
have
that's
some
going to work.
brain analysis from the Oracle of Whimsy, but thank you for the super chat. Are you catching up now, Armin? Iran is moving away from war with Israel. They took him out. Ooh.
Wait, hold on. Are you catching up now, Armin? Iran is moving away from war with Israel. They took him out. What are you talking about? Raisi is not in control of the politics of Iran. Like, do you not understand? Okay, thank you for the super chat. They do not. Raisi is not in charge of what happens between Iran and Israel. Khamenei is in charge of that. He's just a puppet. Raisi is just a puppet.
Yeah. We got a super chat from John. Thank you, John, saying agnostic here. Relatives are Jewish, love them. Past half 1 or 2 years have been a bit rough. You know what I mean. How to make friends, build trust in leftier U.S. regions. D&D has helped. Yeah, so I would say there are lots of secular communities around different countries, different cities. If you are looking for an explicitly like secular or atheistic community, or find communities about other hobbies you have. Maybe you like to play a sport, maybe you like D&D, maybe you, I don't know, like certain music. Finding communities surrounding a common interest is basically the best way to go. In terms of it being in leftier regions, you just have to find it's gonna take some time. It's just gonna take some time. I have a really difficult time making friends with people my age. And partially it's just because I just have to know what to talk about with certain people and what to shut up about, if I'm being completely honest. Asian American gave a super chat saying, doesn't capitalism mean freedom to choose? Would it be better if Trudeau sold it as payday loans? No, it would not.
Capitalism doesn't mean everything is free. Capitalism means there's lower limitations, not no limitations, right? So what if I wanted to, does capitalism mean that I could buy and sell slaves, for example, because that's allowed in Islam? Obviously not. Does capitalism mean that I have the freedom to choose if I could assassinate somebody? Obviously not. So capitalism also doesn't mean that you get to violate this secular laws of your country. So capitalism doesn't mean, I think if you're looking for maximum freedom, it's not capitalism you're looking for, it's anarchism that you're looking for.
Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do! And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.